I still ask this question to my proso if you're listening to me. What did you do to Domani Munga? Because he just wants to know. Mondo limfanyia hivi jamani. And we are still confused. What did she do? Because it's either Domani aimbe blow me kisses, whichever distance, wezi rushe, ataka mbali naenda. Then so we have maproso alimfanyia maneno character development. Anyway, once again, that was Wakali Nali featuring Susanna Oio with Maproso. And coming right up is Steam by Munes Kenya and Mavo on the beat. Then Nadia Mukami featuring Sanaipe Tande with Wangu. And it's exactly 2 minutes past 11 a.m. and this is the last day of April 2025. My name is Atieno, your host every single day from 8 a.m. all the way till 12 noon. And once again, you can call me your morning bestie and you can listen to me via my Safaricom app, www.bazeradio.co.ke or bazeonlineradio.co.ke. And on the 11th hour today, we'll be having a team from Mental 360, and we are going to be talking about all the issues regarding mental health. So if you have any questions, let me know via 0716 250 933. Coming right up, Munes Kenya, Mavo on the beat, Steam. Enjoy. It's exactly 11 minutes past 11 a.m. And before I go ahead and introduce my guest, please do make a wish if you are a manifester. Manifest whatever you need to manifest right about now. And coming right up is Leo by Mr. Lini, then Zimeshika by Trio Mio featuring Calligraph Jones. And today is the last day of April, and April was Mental Health Awareness Month, and today I've been joined in the studio by one person that I interviewed some time back on my evening show 69. He's called Fred, and also Jerry on this other side, and we're going to talk to them in the next few seconds or so. So Jerry, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Uko fiti?
Niko salama, labda wewe.
Niko fiti. Akilini uko sawa pia?
Kabisa.
Okay, because today we are talking about mental awareness, right? So I need to know how you are mentally.
Yeah.
Fred, of course, unajua uko sawa, but niambie, how have you been doing?
I see you started with assumptions, but we're surviving.
You're surviving.
Alive, surviving. Working towards living.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Now, we are talking about today everything and anything that entails mental health awareness. Yeah. And there's something I want us to start us off. I mentioned in the last hour where mental health is often and still is stigmatized in many African households, where emotions are often sometimes dismissed and they're being seen as either weakness or, for lack of a better word, spiritual attacks. Okay, so my question for you is, Njeri, did you grow up in a space that nurtured your emotional well-being or one that dismissed it? And if so, how has that upbringing basically shaped the way you now care for your mental health?
Thank you so much for that question.
You're welcome.
To be honest, I've been raised in a family whereby when you cry, you're asked, Mono nalia, hulipi school fees, sutafuti chakula, or anything you're being provided for. And I guess most of the African families have been the same, because our parents were taught to be providers.
Yeah.
They were not taught to be emotionally available for their kids. And so, yes, I've been raised in a family where emotions kidogo, they're not welcome. Because why are you crying?
Yeah, na ulipi.
Ukuna kitu unatafuta, why are you crying? You know, like, why? What do you mean you're stressed? What do you mean you're depressed? You know. But so growing up, I have actually been diagnosed by depression, diagnosed with depression, that is. And it has been very stressful because looking at where this came from, the baseline was the family. A family being dysfunctional, not being able to open up to your caregivers, right? And this has affected the way I live, my relationships with people, partners, friends and all that. And so after being diagnosed with depression, I had now to relearn.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because you need now to start taking care of your inner child. Yeah, the inner child that was not taken care of by your caregivers, quote unquote. But so now that looked like going for therapy sessions. That looked like now understanding where people are coming from. Yeah, because ideally you lacked a space where you could express yourself. You lacked a space where you could be yourself, because all the time you had to be quote unquote be strong, especially for the fact that I'm a firstborn daughter. So now that came with another burden.
And you're a woman as well.
And I'm a woman as well.
Yeah.
So that looked like I had to go through a lot, and I had to mask my emotions, because you're a firstborn daughter. Why are you being weak?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your heart, you can't even talk to your caregivers. You're just the lonely child. You're the child that is not allowed to break. And so that again has affected my relationship with myself and with other people. But after being diagnosed, as I mentioned, I had now to take a good look at my mental health well-being.
Okay.
And now I had to do a lot of therapy, a lot of self-care, a lot of reflection, and identifying what is it that I really want to change, and how do I really want to express myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense, and I get you, because my next question for you was in the next link is that because I'm also a firstborn daughter as well. I'm the firstborn, and we are often told to be strong.
Yeah.
Especially as a woman. But strength to me does not always mean silence.
Yeah.
So when we come back, I want you to share a moment when your strength looked like breaking down, asking for help or walking away. What did it teach you about basically redefining what it means to be strong? Because for some reason, if you cry, even as a guy as well, Fred can attest to this, if you cry, if you show emotions, aside from him sitting like that, it's you're weak. Why are you crying as a guy?
Yeah.
So we are going to be talking about what basically redefines the meaning of being strong in the next few minutes. After Mr. Lenny with the Leo, then Trio Mio featuring Calligraph Jones with Zimeshika. Enjoy. And welcome back to Baze Radio. Once again, that is Trio Mio featuring Calligraph Jones with Zimeshika. And coming right up is one of my favorite gospel songs. That is Daddy Owen featuring Regan Sakozi with Wewe Ni Mungu. And Fenagitu with her latest EP featuring DJ Prod Luigi. And one of her tracks is Repeat. And once again, it's 24 minutes past 11 a.m. And Yvonne Wayego, I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, because Kikuyu names kidogo, the way you guys write it and the way you guys pronounce it is completely different, because there's absolutely no way Shosho is C-U-C-U. That needs to be cuckoo or something. Like, to me, it makes no sense at all. And May is a Mental Health Awareness Month. And I keep on forgetting that this is a morning show. Today, we are talking about everything about mental health. And a while back with Njeri, we were talking about mental health, which is often still stigmatized in many African households, where emotions are sometimes dismissed as weakness or spiritual attacks. And she explained it properly, and she mentioned a part where she said that as a firstborn, you're often termed as strong. And my question to you is, since you've joined us, we are often told to be strong, especially as women. But strength does not mean silence every single time. So can you share a moment, number one, when your strength looked like breaking down, asking for help, or either walking away? And what did that moment teach you about redefining what it means to be strong?
I'm also a firstborn daughter. So being strong, being not complaining about things is one of the things. A normal thing in African household. Seeking for therapy is one thing that I don't think my family seems to understand that it's a necessity for some. And the first time my mom noticed, Ama Aliskia, that I'm going for therapy, she was shocked. Like, why? What is it that you're lacking? What is the problem? What have I not done that is making you seek help to another person? I tried to explain it to her, but ni kama hatutaelewana, because akona beliefs zake and I still have my beliefs.
Okay.
And at that moment, I realized, like, if I didn't go for therapy, if I didn't take that step, I wouldn't understand where she's coming from.
Yeah.
I wouldn't understand where the worry is coming from. Yeah.
So that at that particular moment, it just taught you just doing some shadow work.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you as well. What did that teach you about redefining what it means to be strong?
You can be strong, but there is a limit. Like, kuna mali itafika, being strong is not the answer.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what I can say.
That is it.
Yeah.
Jerry, what did a moment like that teach you about redefining what it means to be strong?
Um, I strongly believe that in African households, African culture, the way you're taught to be strong is by avoiding those emotions. Like, you're going through this. Okay, there are people who are going through us. So, enye uko nayo hata kidogo, ni kidogo sana, so are you complaining? And speaking from a firstborn standpoint, I believe that we are taught to put our needs aside and take care of our siblings.
Okay.
You're taught to be a parent. So immediately you get a sibling, that is when your childhood stops. Because now you have responsibilities. You have to make sure that your sibling amekula lunch, breakfast, everything, like they're good. So you put your own needs aside. And so I remember there's a time I stood up to my mom, and I don't know what we were talking about. And I'm like, no, mom, this is not okay. This is not fair. The way you treat my siblings it's like when you're having arguments or disagreements, like there's a way you're supposed to talk to us,
Okay.
And so at that moment I broke down, because that was the first time I stood up to my mom. And so I realized, after a series of therapy, series of reflecting, I realized that strength does not necessarily mean that you have to put your needs aside. It doesn't mean that you have to avoid your emotions and focus on making the right decision. Strength looks like feeling the emotion. It looks like recognizing that this hurts, but if, for instance, you're having to make a decision between being there for your family and it's definitely going to hurt you, strength looks like prioritizing yourself.
Okay.
It looks like setting up those boundaries, setting the interpersonal boundaries within yourself and setting boundaries with other people. Strength looks like asking for help, breaking down and be like, you know what, just because I'm supposed to do this does not necessarily mean that I have to do it.
Yeah.
I need help. And that is something that we struggle with, especially as firstborns.
Okay.
Firstborn women, to be specific,
Yeah.
We struggle a lot with asking for help because we've been taught to, personally, I struggle, because we've been taught to think like, mbona hujapika sapa na kuna nyanya vitunguu, kuna chakula kwa fridge, so why is there no lunch? So you are programmed to think,
To figure it out, everything.
Look for a solution. You have things, so why are you not looking for a solution? And sometimes growing up in that setting, you're now programmed to never ask for help. You think that you can do everything. So for me, that is how I would redefine strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when we come back, because somebody has told us to talk about grief, right? Because it can also affect you mentally and emotionally. And we're going to discuss that in the next few minutes. So please continue bringing in your comments, your opinions, your topics, your questions. What do you want us to talk about this particular hour before we end the show in 30 minutes? But before that, Daddy Owen, Rigatsakuzi, Wewe ni Mungu. Enjoy. That is Fena Gitu featuring DJ Prod Luigi with Repeat. And coming right up is Mbosso from Tanzania with Huyu Hapa, then Njoki Karu with Dance. And my name is Atieno, your host every day from 8 a.m. up until 12 noon. And today we are talking about everything and anything when it comes to mental health. And right about now, you're going to be talking about grief. Okay? And grief is, I don't know whether any of you has lost somebody very, 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 very important. Not like a cousin or just like a parent. Anyone? No? So grief is really, it's an interesting thing that I really don't talk about. And somebody has asked a question that I have always wanted to ask, but I don't know how to, right? So what's something or someone you've had to mentally and emotionally grieve? And how has that loss changed the way you show up in the world? And I feel like the reason, especially the last part, how has that loss changed the way you show up in the world? It actually makes sense with me because I think to go 2025, 11 years ago, I lost my mom, and it's something that has been really, really messing me up every single day. Like, I don't think there's a day where she hasn't crossed my mind. So my question to you is, how has that loss, or if you have lost someone, changed the way you show up in the world? Yeah.
Personally, I haven't lost someone close to me, but I'd say maybe a relationship with a friend.
Yeah, because grief, we can grieve people, versions of ourselves as well. We can grieve about
Exactly.
dreams and also relationships.
Yeah. So I'd say a relationship that I had with a very good friend of mine. And so at that specific moment when, before you lose or end a relationship, there are so many things that are involved. Conflict, disagreements, you guys outgrow each other. And sometimes it's a difficult thing to deal with because it doesn't sit well with you, right?
Yeah.
And so at that specific moment, you undergo a lot of emotions because one, you're in disbelief, like you're in denial, like why is this even happening? So you're like, no, maybe they're going to text me back. If you guys had a routine, maybe you just sit around and wait for this person to text or meet in your favorite coffee shop and all that. But it doesn't happen. And that is when it actually hits you that, yeah, I've lost this relationship, right, for good. And at that specific moment, depending on who you are, your principles, your values, how you interact, or how heavy you carry your relationships, at that specific moment, you can feel betrayed. You can feel like, I don't want to ever give anyone the kind of energy that I gave to this specific person. And sometimes you look at the world like, yeah, you see, like you that is when you start seeing people caving in. Like, I don't want friends. Friends are bad. People are just bad, But you can look at it at that angle, like people don't deserve to be loved. We do not have good human beings out here. Or you can look at it after a lot of healing and a lot of work. You can look at it from a POV of okay, maybe I lost this specific person, but I'll definitely find someone who's better than this person, or someone who's
Or even worse.
or even worse, So it's how you choose to show up. It's how you choose to show up for yourself and for the other people that you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question is to Yvonne right now. Sometimes we confuse healing with just getting over it.
Yeah.
Throwing things under the bus. But healing can be very, very messy. And it can also be very, 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 very personal. So in the next few minutes after listening to the song, I'd love to know, what does healing look like for you right now? And what part of your journey are you still afraid to speak out loud? We're going to talk about it in the next few minutes after Mboso with Huyu Hapa, then Njoki Karu with the dance. That was Njoki Karu with the dance, and coming right up is a Lifestyle by BNMA featuring Scam Cardinali and Abbas Kubaf with Move Fire. Now, that is one of his songs, by the way, and even during Mic Check podcast where it featured Calligraph Jones, he was asked to mention Marapa Sonyo Narrate, and Abbas Kubaf was among the list alongside Chihuahua, who he went ahead and called very lazy because ukona kipaji na hutumi. But that is not what we are talking about today, because we are about to wind up the show in exactly 11 minutes. And my question is to Yvonne. So sometimes we confuse healing with getting over it, throwing it under the bus, but healing can be very, 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 very messy and also personal. So what does healing look like for you right now?
Healing for me is feeling without breaking. Like, I'm allowed to feel my emotions. I'm allowed to talk about what I'm feeling, and finding peace in memories that might have been a trigger. For example, I'll use the example of Nigeria, friends, losing friends, grieving for friendships. Um, you might not. Your head is kwambia, like, concentrate on the good things. You'll always see the bad, what this person did, how it affected me. But also, I'd like us to go, like, carry the good moments that you people shared. It's so coined, like, feelings.
Yeah.
And making spaces for joy. Like, if there's something that you used to do, and for some reasons you don't do it anymore, maybe try to go back to it. Or that is what I'm doing right now, because I used to do swimming a lot. Swimming was like therapy for me.
Okay.
Until I stopped, and I don't know why. when it happened. Right now, that is something I'm trying to go back to.
Okay.
Because I'm a Pisces. I and as a water sign, kind of a person, I feel like when I'm in the water, like I feel everything. I'm allowed to feel everything. I'm allowed to be anything that I want to be in that moment, and that is something that I loved about swimming.
Okay.
I can just cry. I found that
Atajua tuko kwa maji.
kwa maji. Utaulizwa maji mbona ziko red? Yeah,
Ni
it's the chlorine.
chlorine.
And accepting things the way they are, trying to unakubali tu, like shit zime happen and everything, but there's no reason for me to stay there.
Okay.
I need to press forward. I need to do things that will make my heart feel at home, at peace.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, Jerry, what does healing look like for you as we wind up?
Everything that Ivy has said,
But
most specifically is feeling and acknowledging the feelings.
Okay.
Because oftentimes we are tunashindwa kuheal because we don't want to feel our emotions and we don't want to do something about those emotions. It's more of, okay, I was heartbroken, so unakanyangia to your story, you repress the emotions, you continue repressing, and at the end of the day, you just
blow out.
And things just happen. So feel, because emotions are meant to be felt, and then work towards healing. That would look like unlearning your unhealthy habits. That would also look like unlearning and actually working towards being okay, even if it means you're being uncomfortable, because healing is very uncomfortable. Healing is not so smooth or soft, smooth sailing. It's very, very uncomfortable. So yeah.
So Mental Health Awareness Month starts from tomorrow up until the 31st. So what do you guys have in store for this particular month as people from Mental 360?
First of all, we'll continue with the advocacy, because we have a lot of support groups in various sub-counties in Kiambu that, again, we are looking forward to partnering with different partners to ensure that we are now able to create awareness in different platforms. That looks like radio stations, that looks like online webinars, that looks like having conversations with youths, maybe in education institution of higher learning, and even high schools. Yeah, because we have programs on Boma Wellness that are happening in high schools. So we still are trying to push on matters mental health advocacy, and so those are some of the few things that we have for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where can we get your pages, your services?
For if you want to call, or if you're in need of mental health services and it's urgent, you can always call 0710 360 360, and you can always look us up on IG, on LinkedIn. Yes, IG, LinkedIn, and X at Mental 360.
At Mental 360.
Mental 360.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming, Yvonne, and also Njeri, for sharing some of the insights. And I'm sorry for asking certain questions. I could trigger slightly, but I just had to ask. Anyway, coming right up as we wind up today's show is Lifestyle by BN, featuring Scam Cardinali, then Abbas Kubaf with More Fire, More Fire, More Fire.
This is Baze Radio.
We are 254 to the core.